The meaning of a specification. What purpose does a product specification serve? The obvious answer is that a specification is what a customer gives to a potential supplier that completely describes what the product must be and how it performs. Following this logic, it is then the responsibility of the supplier, if it wants the business, to quote the lowest possible per unit price on the product. Perhaps this is an accurate analysis in a straight rebuy situation, and it's true for most web-based transactions. Not only does the specification give the customer a method to say what the product must be should there be any future disagreement, but also it provides the supplier with a very clear indication of what the product does not need to be, also useful in future disagreements. The functions performed by the specification, however, are not limited to resolving the conflicts between the buyer and the seller. Specifications are an attempt by the buyer to generalize the need description, regardless of its complexity. The specification seeks to reduce differences between different potential suppliers of the product, making it easier to choose from among competing proposals. Internally to the buying center, the specification serves as an assurance that when a supplied component meets the specification, all of the requirements of the organization have been met. In regard, the specification serves as an internal brand, much the same way a national customer brand reassures buyers about quality, function, and value in the consumer market. Thus, the buyer views a well-written specification as an enabling factor that virtually eliminates differences between competing suppliers. The development of a product specification is a step where a business marketer can have significant input, particularly if the value provided by the marketer goes beyond easily quantifiable need. Successful suppliers will have worked with the buying organization such that the specification utilizes attributes of the supplier's own total offering while minimizing the impact of the differentiating attributes of competitors' offerings. The development of early prototypes, as noted earlier, the selection of component technology and the appropriate alternatives from a cost and performance viewpoint are all areas where suppliers can meet the buying organization's needs that exist during this phase of the process. Concurrently, such assistance provides assurance to the buying center that the supplier can provide superior value when the final solution is delivered at the end of the decision process. Beyond this point in the process, it is much more difficult for a potential supplier who has not yet been involved in the definition stage to be truly competitive. The new supplier finds the buying center already predisposed to a particular form of solution. The special case of an integrated supply chain. Today, most large companies and many medium-sized companies attempt to integrate their supply chains back to the point of raw materials extraction from the earth. As has been discussed in chapters 1 and 2, integrating supply management through the supply chain can provide competitive advantages in terms of cost, quality, and flexibility. Entering into a relationship with an integrated supply chain can give the supplier advantages and benefits as well, once it becomes certified and integrated into the chain. The supply chain poses a special case of customer requirements that, notwithstanding a complete and competitive core offering, may exclude a supplier from further consideration. The case of the integrated supply chain will occur mostly in industries where technologies and products are maturing or have matured. Some companies in markets or industries that are emerging will attempt to integrate their supply chains, but supply dynamics are so fluid at these early stages that little advantage can be gained from integrating supply management. Many larger companies form a supply management committee or team to make supply policy decisions and manage the supply network's activities. The supply management team will pursue inbound purchasing and logistics as strategic design decisions and tend to manage these activities as business processes. The team will emphasize strict quality tolerances for the purchase of materials, parts, and services. These requirements are specific for all links in the chain back to raw materials producers. In a further broadening of the supply chain management concept, the team will develop or incorporate from an independent source specifications for the processes that suppliers must adhere to. Many of these processes, including but not limited to quality manufacturing, inventory management, purchasing, and quality control, are defined under standards set by the International Organization for Standardization, ISO, and the Institute of Supply Management, ISM. The prospective supplier must show that they have incorporated these standards. The suppliers will also be required to share information about demand and supply levels for both upstream and downstream. The supplier may be required to follow policies and procedures in ordering and inventory tracking. In return, the supplier can often expect special assistance in meeting these requirements, such as training, equipment, and financing. Obtaining standard certification from ISO can qualify a supplier to participate in supply chains for many large customers. The initial qualifying effort will be of value at many customers. Because an independent standard organization is used, the requirements are readily determined and consistent. In this way, the supplier gains legitimacy in an efficient manner. On the other hand, the strict requirements to enter the supply chain take away many sources of differentiation. This suggests that a prospective supplier can differentiate itself by learning to manage and improve its own internal operations so that it can exceed the stringent requirements of the supply chain. By creating a core competency of process improvement and maintaining an ongoing relationship with the standard-setting organizations, the supplier can rise to the level of a preferred supplier for one or more supply chains. Some suppliers that have achieved this level of sophistication in process management and continuous process improvement have gone on to build new distinctive competencies in managing processes for creating innovations. Stage 2. Selection. Once the buying center knows what it wants to acquire, it seeks, during the selection stage, a supplier to provide it. The choice of a supplier may be a foregone conclusion, particularly if, as noted earlier, the supplier has collaborated with the buyer throughout the specification process. The buying center may go through the steps of the selection stage, though just the same, as shown in Exhibit 3.3, the activities performed in this stage include development and issuance of a request for proposal, RFP, or request for quotation, RFQ, evaluation of offers, initial selection of a supplier, negotiation of terms, and specification of an order or contract. While the steps can occur simultaneously and in varying order, the stage ends in transitions to the next stage with the contract or order. As already discussed, if the supplier organization can help the buying center through the process, the supplier stands a greater chance of becoming the supplier chosen. If a supplier has a good relationship with the people in the buying center, then the RFP often can be influenced to ask for proposals to do exactly what the supplier intends to do. Obviously, the proposal then will match very well with the buyer's requirements and will at least stand a good chance of being picked for a final round of proposal presentations. After the RFP or the RFQ is issued, proposals or quotes are received and evaluated by members of the buying center. Depending on the complexity of the need, the competing suppliers, marketers, are called on to marshal their writing and presentation skills, as well as their knowledge of their own and their customers' markets. Strict revise of somewhat generic items, such as those that could be successfully purchased, are described in the convincing opening vignette, may require only a brief, perhaps an online if suppliers are adequately pre-qualified, response to an RFQ that stresses prices as the dominant part of the marketing mix. For few tasks and to a certain degree modified revised situations, however, successful or profitable responses to RFQs require a combination of elements well beyond price and are not likely to be successful purchased through online exchanges.